بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق أجمعين محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Biography of Shaheed, Hujjatul Islam wal Muslimin, Sayyid Mahdi Al-Hakeem, is interesting to know about his life history because of different events happened in his life, beside different political situations he faced, and a lot of important things are to be discussed in his life. Shaheed Sayyid Mahdi Al-Hakeem was born in 1935 in Najaf Ashraf. His study in the school for a few years, and then he joined Hawza at his early life, and at a younger age he progressed a lot in his study of the Hawza. His father, late Ayatullah Al-Uzma, Sayyid Mohsin Al-Hakim, who was the Grand Ayatullah and Marji'iyah of the Shia world, his Marji'iyah started after death of Ayatullah Al-Uzma Sayyid Abu al-Hasan al-Isfahani in 1946. So at the age of 11, Shaheed Sayyid Mahdi Al-Hakeem started living the environment of Marji'iyah and responsibilities on the shoulder of his father. And because he was active and intelligent, he was trying his best to help and support the Hawza Ilmiya. I remember he said once that in 1954, by that time he is at the age of 19, he said that we counted number of Iraqi students from Iraqi families who are in the Hawza Ilmiya of Najaf, and they're counting with tasbih. He said that family 3, these 2, 5, and so on. And he said we did not complete one tasbih, means 100, less than 100. So you see how much number of students was small to meet the need of the Iraqi Shias and Shias of the world. That is why it was the efforts of late Ayatullah Al-Uzma Sayyid Mohsin Al-Hakeem to attract students to the Hawza from different parts of the world and let the Hawza flourish. So at his time, from a few hundred students, it reached about 6,000 to 8,000 students, about 1,000, more than 1,000 from Iraq, and the rest from other countries. So Shaheed Sayyid Mahdi Al-Hakeem was feeling and carrying that responsibility and that effort, and he was trying his best to participate in that, and he started Tabligh early in his life. It is mentioned probably he is the first alim who delivered a lecture in Sahan of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, because at that time it was not common for an alim to deliver a lecture. For the khatib, the zakir, he recite a majlis on the pulpit, that is okay, but for ulama they do not speak. But he was the first one to speak in public and try to guide the people to the right path and tell them about their rights and the situations of the government at that time. After 1958, where the coup of Abdul Karim Qasim happened and the king was killed, the situation in Iraq was different, because after that, in 1959, the Communist Party had overwhelming majority all over Iraq, and they killed a lot of people in different parts, especially in Mosul, in Kirkuk, in other areas. And then the challenge for the Hawza and for the Marji'iyah was great, and Shaheed Sayyid Mahdi Al-Hakeem was naturally participating in those events, and he tried his best to reform the situation and protect the ulama, the imams of the masjids, the students in the Hawza from being misguided. So he was delivering lectures about the greatness of Islam versus communism and the materialism and atheism which prevailed at that time. Because of his activity and interest in serving the Shia world, and because of his personality, he was a very lovely person. When he meet people, people loves him, and his talk to others, whether official agents or the ulama or friend or even foreigner or somebody, whoever he may not be with in line with his views, but still his morality was high, so whoever meet him will like him and is attracted to him. So his father found him good person responsible of carrying the responsibility in Baghdad, the capital of Iraq. So in 1964, he migrated from Najaf to Baghdad in order to look after affairs of the Shias in the government, because Shias were deprived greatly in Iraq, unfortunately. The northern area, because of sectarian governments, they used to build the schools, to build the roads, the factories, and middle and south of Iraq were deprived of those services. In a statistics mentioned about number of schools to 100,000 people. In north of Iraq, where majority are Sunnis, there were 24 per 100,000 or 18 or 22 in different provinces. While when you come to Najaf, Karbala is 4, 3.5, and to southern Iraq like Amara and Asriya, it is 1.5. So you see, the government was intentionally depriving the Shia areas from education, from hospitals, from services, from roads, from factories to get a job, and so on. Should not be developed. Naturally, somebody should talk to the government that this sectarian attitude is not right. So his position in Baghdad was for that, and he was carrying the message of the Marji', his father, to the government of Iraq from time of Abdul Salam Arif, and after Abdul Salam Arif, when the Ba'ath Party in 1968 came, and before them Abdul Rahman Arif, brother Abdul Salam. In that time, his services in Baghdad was great. He formed with other ulama, his colleagues, the Jama'at al-Ulama fi Baghdad wal-Kadhimiyya, and tried to have a common platform for the ulama in Baghdad and in Kadhimiyya. Any area had a masjid, there is no alim, he tries to find the alim to be imam of the masjid and serve the people at that time. His lectures were very informative. He was very eloquent in speech, and the views are very clear when he discusses about something, even if it is philosophical matter, very difficult to understand, but he put it in such a plain language that everybody understands it. So beside he was an eloquent speaker, he was eloquent in language, which his language is very clear for people. So at that time, naturally, he used to educate the people in the masjid he had in Karada area of Iraq, and he had good relations with the scholars in the university, the doctors, engineers, the professors, others, even the other members of the government who are Shias, even with the Sunnis who are neutral and not sectarian. So everybody likes his attitude and his ideas, because he was not sectarian. The only thing he said, well, the Shias are deprived and they should get their right. And he tried to help whoever needs a job in any ministry. If he knows somebody, he sent him to that and try to facilitate him to get a job, or somebody, his right is usurped, to get his right, and so on. So that service was great in that time in Baghdad. Well, at the time of Abdul Salam Arif, Abdul Salam was very sectarian, unfortunately, and he tried to pressurize the Hawza and the Marji'iyah in Najaf. They have resisted his views and ideas a lot. So the role of Shaheed Sayyid Mahdi Al-Hakim was great at that time, beside other ulama who were there in Baghdad, who were wakil of Ayatullah Al-Uzma Sayyid Mohsin Al-Hakim, the Marji' at that time. When the Ba'ath Party came in 1968, the Ba'ath Party came just to destroy the Hawza of Najaf and ulama to be pressurized, and there should not be no freedom for them. They came against, let us say, religious views of the people represented by the Marji'iyah. The Marji'iyah is a symbol for the Shias of the Iraq and Shias of the world. So they came to crush and destroy that Marji'iyah. He knew their policy because he suffered that in 1963 when Ba'ath Party came for 6 months into power, and then Abdul Salam Arif made a coup against them. So they were very bad by putting innocent people in jail, torturing the people, getting the girls, the women, torturing them, abusing them. So they know the attitude of Ba'ath Party is very, very bad attitude. That is why when Ba'ath Party came, he realized that if this party will control the situation in Iraq, they will eradicate all the religious activities in Iraq. And that is why it was the idea of the Marji' Ayatullah Al-Uzma Sayyid Mohsin Al-Hakim to come to Baghdad, and then the people will come and welcome him and try to give a message to the government that the people are with us and you have to look after the affairs of the people without being a dictator, without being a sectarian in your attitude. And that is why Ayatullah Hakim came to Baghdad, and people from all over Iraq came to visit him because he was sick and he came for a treatment. But then the Ba'ath Party, he made a film that somebody, Medhat Haj Sirri, he said that I was in a meeting with Mullah Mustafa Barazani and Mahdi Al-Hakim, and somebody from Western countries was there, and then they put the intelligence among the people to say that Sayyid Mahdi Al-Hakim is a spy for foreign countries. And the innocent people, some of them will realize, and the thousands of people who were around the house of late Ayatullah Hakim chanting and praising him, when they hear that news, they were scattered, especially when the intelligence were among them, and everybody ran away. So Shaheed Sayyid Mahdi Al-Hakim realized that if the government catch him, they will kill him, execute him by that excuse, because they already killed many people, a group of 40, 45. They killed, and they tagged that they are a spy to Israel, spy to foreign countries, spy to agents to other countries, and so on, So they killed people in order to put fear in heart of the people there. So he secretly left the house of his father where he was there, and then ultimately he left Iraq secretly outside Iraq and saved himself. At that time when he was in Baghdad, one of the important things were to look after the university students. They used to come in big groups, University of Baghdad and other universities, and University of Mosul. The students, they used to come in Ashura and they had a special procession in Karbala. In a special way, they recite poetry, and that poetry had its meaning to praise Imam Hussain, and beside calling for the rights and criticizing the dictatorship of the government. So he was of a great effect in running and organizing and administering and teaching the students who were coming, and he used to sit hours with them. They have a lot of questions because of shortage of ulama. They don't see alim usually, and a lot of queries in mind. So when they come to Karbala and stay at night for 2 nights, there was a time for discussion and guiding them. Also, he used to visit other cities, beside Baghdad, to Kut and Nasiriyah, Diwaniyah till Basra, in the south of Iraq. And in his visit there, he used to talk about the rights of the followers of Ahlul Bayt in Iraq, and the people should be aware of that, and the government should give the people the right, and then try to guide the people toward the being a practicing religious people, because at that time propaganda of atheism and communism and existentialism and so many ideas and ideologies, a way of religion, used to prevail because of the propaganda in the Arab countries. So he used to explain the religious views in very nice and clear way. So his effect was great in Iraq. That is why probably the Ba'ath Party decided to attack the Marji'iyah by attacking the son of the Marji' and putting that sign that he is a spy, which is naturally not true. When he left Iraq after moving in different countries, ultimately he left to Pakistan. His life in Pakistan was also very fruitful. In Pakistan, the people are religious, but their religious education was not very high. And at that time, also socialism and communism and those ideas started prevailing in Pakistan. And the ulama, they didn't know how to argue and discuss with those ideas and what are their views in order to criticize them or defend Islam. Because of his experience in Iraq, so Shaheed Sayyid Mahdi Al-Hakeem had a great role in Pakistan. He went from city to city. The people used to welcome him because he's son of the Marji' and well, he's oppressed by the Ba'ath regime. Then thousands used to go to the airport when he used to enter any city, in Multan, in Lahore, in Peshawar, in Karachi, everywhere, he used to go. And he had a lot of good lectures delivering about greatness of Islam and difference of Islam with other ideologies. He used to speak in Arabic, and some people used to translate it into Urdu for the public to know. In one of his meetings in the Lawyers Association, called Bar Association, for the lawyers in the University of, in the court of Lahore, there were hundreds of the lawyers in that is the main place for them. And he delivered lectures about the greatness of Islam. They asked him, well, Islam calls for social justice, and socialism also call for social justice. So what is the difference between justice in Islam and justice in socialism? So he gave very nice and easy to understand answer. He said, if somebody is one-eyed and one eye is blind, so there is two ways to make equality. Either the good eye, we make it blind, so both eyes are blind, so now both are equal. Or we treat the sick eye and that eye will be all right, so both eyes are all right. Islam calls that both eyes to be all right. Socialism say no, both eyes should be blind. What he means actually, in socialism people are equal in poverty. All of them are poor, there is no rich. In Islam everybody is satisfied. There is rich and richer, there is no poor. So people are equal to be rich or at least self-satisfied. But in socialism they are equal in poverty. All of them are poor. They live a low standard life. Naturally that in short give a clear idea about economy in Islam and how it deals to serve the countries and economic system and ideology of communism and socialism. He had a lot of discussions with people on different issues, and it was so much effective that Abu al-A'la al-Mawdudi, when he heard to some of his lectures and he had a meeting with him, he said, well, we demand such ideas. And he wrote to Jama'at Islami, which was a big party, hundreds of thousands were members of that party all over Pakistan. He said, whenever this person delivers a lecture at any city, you have to attend that lecture before the Shias to attend that. Because his way was not sectarian. He was defending Islam as Islam in general, other than the sects and sectarian attitude. Islam against non-Islamic ideas and ideologies. So that is why everybody who met him liked him. The ulama, the scholar, the zakirin, the public were feeling very happy, very satisfied with him. One of the interesting answers he gave, well, in Pakistan, there are views that nature of the Imams, Salamullah alayhim, is from light. They are not of a human nature. They are of light, because of traditions. We were light before creation of Adam and so on. Now, if you say that they were a human being, the people get annoyed. They said, how you say human being? No, they were light and not a human being. So in public, now he was asked that question. Are the Imams from light or they are human beings? Now whatever he answered, the people will not understand the fact. So he gave a very nice answer. He said, Ahlul Bayt Salamullah alayhim, the Imams, are human beings, but their humanity differs from our humanity. They said, Sayyidina, we didn't understand. What do you mean? He said, okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we start with the letter of B. And Bakre means goat in Urdu, start with B also. Now this is B and that is B. But is there any difference between these two B? Naturally. This B is from the Holy Quran, all the Quran in Surah Al-Ham, Surah Al-Hamd, in the Basmala in the B. You cannot touch it without wudu, you cannot insult it, you cannot make it najis, dirty. So because it is a Quran, it's a B from a letter from the Holy Quran. That B is ordinary B. So he said, we are human being, but from B of Bakr. Ahlul Bayt are a human being, but from B of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So though they are a human being, but naturally, you want to say they were a great human being, they were infallible, they were a divine position they have, a holy position they have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed them as imams and guide for the people. So naturally they are a human being, but naturally they are at the top of humanity. Well, other people are a human being that they may be sinful, may be ignorant, and so on, So give that example, which everybody was satisfied with his answer. He had that ability to give very clear answers for some difficult questions and make it easy for the mind of the people. He spent about 10 months in Pakistan, and then ultimately he had bleeding in his eye, and he was going to London for a treatment. He passed to Dubai, and the people of Dubai asked him to stay there and be the alim there. Now, his life in Dubai and United Arab Emirates started from 1971. 1970, he was in Pakistan about almost 1 year, 10 months. But in 71, he came to Dubai, and he stayed there till 1980 before migrating to London. In Dubai, because the ruler at that time, Sheikh Rashid Al-Maktoum, was cooperative, and he asked him to give a council for the Shias, and they started Majlis Idarat al-Awqaf al-Ja'fariyya al-Khairiyya fi Dubai, the endowment of the trust of Shia Ithna Asharis in Dubai. And with that organization, it was a semi-governmental organization, but has the authority to have the lands which are waqf for to be built as a mosque, or to be built as Hussainiyah, or to be built as a general charity, but for the Shias. So all those lands which were scattered were registered in Awqaf, and gradually he developed them because it was beginning of the development, economic development. So he built many lands as a multi-story building, and start having income to be used for the expenses of Awqaf and the salaries of the ulama in different mosques, and building many mosques. So many mosques were built, and even Imam Ali Mosque, which was the main mosque, was rebuilt in very beautiful condition, which is it till the time being. And he tried to educate the people, because religious education, well, even general education, reading and writing at that time, was not very popular, and it was beginning of the development of the country. So he started by making a school for the children in order to be educated religiously, to having a library with books, so that the people can get access to the Shia books in order to read and educate themselves, and having lectures to educate the people in general a lot. And that created such a great position for the Shias, which were a remarkable one. Especially the attitude was very neutral, and the government was happy that the Shias are educated and protected, and no extremism there, which create a problem for the country. So many mosques and Hussainiyas were built at that time, and many ulama were called to stay and serve the community, somewhere in Arabic, some in Urdu, in Persian, because the Shias were of different nationalities. And till today, those mosques, and well, beside many more, were established after that. And then in 1980, when Saddam started the war against Iran, the situation was, political situation was risky, and there was a risk that Saddam might send people to execute him in Dubai. So he was forced to leave Dubai and stay in London. Even in London, there were many attacks, but God saved him in those attacks, because in London he was not moving in public places. He was always changing his dress not to be known. From 1980 till 83, he was serving the community there. There were not many centers in Arabic. There was one center actually, but he had a good relation with the Shia centers in Urdu-speaking Pakistanis, Indians, the Khojas, and Iranians, and others who had already centers. And then in 1983, at that year, he started two big projects. One is establishment of Ahlul Bayt Islamic Center with the help of his colleague, late Hujjat al-Islam wal-Muslimin, Sayyid Muhammad Bahr al-Ulum, and it was registered in 3 trustees, the late Hujjat al-Islam Sayyid Mahdi Al-Hakeem and late Hujjat al-Islam Sayyid Muhammad Bahr al-Ulum and myself were the 3 founding trustees of Ahlul Bayt Islamic Center. And also at that year, the first conference, worldwide conference, started for World Ahlul Bayt Islamic League. World Ahlul Bayt Islamic League, the idea was that the Shias in different parts of the world, they have organizations, they have centers, they have activities, but they don't know each other. In Indonesia, there are Shias. In Malaysia, there are Shias. In Burma, there were Shias. In Bangladesh, in India, Pakistan, in different African countries, in Europe, in America, South America, beside the Middle East and Arab countries. But they don't know each other because they had no chance to meet with each other. So the idea of World Ahlul Bayt Islamic League is to have conference and invite all of them to meet and know each other. So it was probably the first international conference for the Shias in the history of Shias, because Shias, since 1,400 years till now, they did not have a freedom to have a conference and to declare about themselves. We know because of Bani Umayyah, Bani al-Abbas, Ottoman emperor, and so on. So all of them were against the followers of Ahlul Bayt, unfortunately. The conference was very successful, and about 75 members from many countries they have attended. And then the second conference was in 1985, and the third conference in 88, and so on. Every 3 years were a conference. And that conference, the activities were expanded. He used to travel a lot to Europe to see different Islamic centers in Europe and different people. He used to travel even to America to move from city to city and meet the people of different nationalities of Shias. I mean, Pakistani Shias, Iranian Shias, Iraqi Shias, Lebanese Shias, and so on. So beside that, he used to talk to people about the oppression of Saddam against the Shias of Iraq. The war started, and a lot of ulama were in jail. The thousands of students of the Hawza who were of Iranian origin or Pakistani or Indian origin, even the Lebanese origin, all of them were asked to leave the country. And then even Iraqis were taken for military service, and many were killed and many ran away. So ultimately, at the time of late Ayatullah Al-Khoi, the number of students from about 8,000 came down to about 350, 400 students only. So that is naturally type of oppression to the Shias in Iraq. And then a lot of ulama were killed. Tens of thousands of people were put in jail and tortured. So all those things were not known by public, So he used to discuss with the people and try to make any possible effort to expose Saddam and his regime. Also, he used to attend human rights delegations in Geneva or in America. Well, in London, he established a human rights organization for Iraq, and that was led by one of his relative from Hakim family, Dr. Sahib Al-Hakim, and he produced a newspaper to mention about the views of the opposition to Saddam, and he had a lot of political activities which were very remarkable in London and in Europe, beside other countries. Also, he used to travel to Iran and to attend different conferences for the Iraqi opposition, which was made once or twice a year in Iran. Ultimately, he was invited to attend a conference in Sudan, and he was asked by Hassan al-Turabi to have a word with Sadiq al-Mahdi, the president at that time, and make the relation good between Hassan al-Turabi and Sadiq al-Mahdi. So they invited him for the conference, and the aim was more than the conference. But then, for a reason which is not known why, there was no proper security for him. In the Hilton Hotel, agents of Iraqi embassy came and they killed him in the lobby of the hotel. A case is known of Hilton Hotel case in Sudan. And then they ran away to Iraqi embassy, and next day they left Sudan to Iraq. His body was carried to Iran, and there was hundreds of thousands of people were grieving for what happened to him, and ultimately he was buried in the Haram of Ma'suma Salamullahi alayha. May Allah rest his soul in peace, and may Allah elevate his position and position of all ulama. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.